a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I am a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion and promotes lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ spreads confusion.
Hey everybody, it's Thursday, December 1st, This Non-Religious Life. I'm your host, Ken. With me all the way across the continent, we have Jason.
Hello.
And Bob.
How's it going?
Jason, why do you always do a creepy hello?
I don't know. Because this is a creepy show.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the least creepy of the shows on Zombie Popcorn.
What are you saying?
Maybe. I'm just saying. That is a compliment, the highest degree, to the other shows. So we have a couple things to talk about today. We have a really good thought experiment we're going to get to a little later in the show. But first we're going to look at some news items. The first one I wanted to bring up, and it kind of ties into the whole response thing, because it's the whole new apostolic reformation, going around the country having these giant rallies and prayer events and stuff like that. And one of them is about Detroit. And Jason, you sent this to me. It's about how they said that dead people are going to be physically resurrected in Detroit.
I mean, I thought Detroit was the physically dead resurrected already. I mean, oh.
They don't provide a specific date to this, do they? A la Harold Camping. Like I love these wild predictions that you just know are not going to happen.
No, I mean, I think Detroit is the example of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I've watched Michael Moore films. I know.
Like when you read this, I mean, it just makes me think of The Crow. You know, set in Detroit, physical resurrections. Like I think they just watched a movie and
we're high. There's a lot of LSD, and it's like, hey, it was real.
Oh my God, it's a prophecy.
I didn't realize that the So is this guy? Is he a fringe member of the New Apostolic Reformation, or is he spouting the party line that they're going to get resurrected in Detroit? And why Detroit in particular?
This is trying to find the full name. Cindy
Well, I
Jacobs.
guess you got to think of a place in the States that nobody would want to go to, so they couldn't follow up to see if it actually happened. Detroit or New Jersey, you know, you have those two choices. You know, like nobody's going to go to those two places to find out if this really happened. So we can
Delaware. Have you ever driven through Delaware? It is awful. It's the Nebraska of the East Coast. It's
we're just isolating all of our
right?
If we had listeners. No, we do. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken, you're going to offend those five guys.
Thanks.
So this thing says that a prophet, and big fucking quotes right around prophet, even in the news article, quotes around prophet, who really got the crowd excited was Cindy Jacobs, who said that dead people would be resurrected in Detroit and elsewhere. There would be child evangelists rising to preach the word.
Okay, rising.
When does
the child
this happen?
Evangelists are rising. Is that from the dead, or they just? You can't say the dead are coming back from the earth, and then in the same sentence say child evangelists are rising, because are they zombies?
Awesome.
What?
It's the zombie apocalypse, but
of child evangelists.
Yeah.
Look, wait. Y'all keep talking.
It's like Dawn of the Dead, but instead of eating your brains, they just want to spout like.
I'm having this vision of like Village of the Damned, where all the little glowy-eyed kids are coming at me with Bibles.
Children of the Corn, but really they just want to take you to church.
So is this so that this person is a prophet in the NAR, that means he probably went to that
Hopefully,
hokey school that we talked about, the leadership
it seems like
council.
she's a nobody.
She's a prophet.
No, she can't.
She's a leader. She's a leader. It says right here. Shit.
Of course, she's a leader.
I've never heard of her before, and that's weird to me. That's.
But is this resurrection thing? Is this the NAR party line, or is this new?
This was at the. I'm sure it is. They believe some wacky shit. This was one of the NAR leaders participating at the 11/11/11 event, which I believe was in Michigan somewhere.
That was in Michigan.
Yeah, because I think that's the really controversial one. Here she is, Right Wing Watch. Cindy Jacobs. Jacobs, prayer warriors mobilize against Occupy Wall Street. She's already a winner.
Really, they're praying to what about Occupy Wall Street?
To end it, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. A few weeks ago, respected prophet Cindy Jacobs warned that God had shown her that a dark spirit of anarchy was being unleashed in America through Occupy Wall Street movement, and could tip the nation.
I thought there was
into
only
civil war.
one God. Why do they have all these spirits of other?
Well, that's part of the NAR belief system, is that all of these evils in the world are caused by literal demonic possession. So everybody in Occupy Wall Street, they're all possessed by demons.
I'm so confused because at one point in time, there was only God and the devil, and there's no other deity that you exist. They thought Native Americans were crazy because they had a spirit for the trees and everything else, and now they're back to that.
Yeah, and apparently there's a gay spirit too. There's there's like a demon that makes people gay, and there's a demon that makes people. And there might not be one demon. I think there's like the whole legions of like gay demons that are going around. There's not just one demon doing it all. It's like a whole bunch of demons, and like these guys are in charge of gay, and these guys are in charge of rock and roll music, and these guys are in charge of Occupy Wall Street.
Sorry.
So I
think
guess
of
you
a legion of gay demons.
I know, right?
Makes me laugh.
I just see them like
coming soon.
in feather boas and heels.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the legions of the drag demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, man.
But so the demonic possession is not new for the NAR, but I don't know. This is the first I've heard of the resurrection thing. And does that mean like does she mean that I would like to hear I'd like to sit down and have a talk with her.
Call her up.
Oh my god.
But is this God, that'd be great. That's what we should totally do. Is get an NAR prophet on the phone. Holy shit, that would be awesome.
Email, that's all you gotta do. The worst thing you could say is yes.
Email
But the are they literally gonna like be clawing out of their graves, or do they just like boop, golden light, then they're there, or is it like
That's what I want to know. Like, is it gonna be like
I want to know
Night of the Living
details.
Dead, like hand through the grave, like
I think we need to find out the date because I want to film this.
Yeah.
we could set up in front of a graveyard and have a Talking Dead show.
I don't think I think she might make this prediction, but I think like Ken always says, it's going to be any day now. It's not gonna. They're not gonna pin it down to a specific date and time. They're just gonna say like soon.
They're worse than like an awesome movie coming out that you have to wait. They tease you with these trailers, and then it's not coming out for another 3 years. Oh, great. They're worse than that.
I saw a preview the other day, and it just said coming soon, and I was like, son of a bitch, tell me when it's coming out because it looks good.
Christians did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. I blame them for any day now.
The song?
Yeah.
What?
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
You youngins don't understand that joke.
I think, I think the NAR is just getting wackier and wackier every day. There's just no limit to the weirdness that they're going to spout. They're almost as crazy as the Westboro Baptist Church people.
Yeah.
The Westboro Baptist Church is like full of hate, and I think the NAR is full of hate and crazy.
You're saying that
Well,
Westboro's not
I think
crazy?
there's a balance of hate and crazy. You know, like
Have you ever
You just
seen-
created a level of
Yeah.
judgment.
No. Have you ever seen Fred Phelps speak? There is a level of crazy there that I cannot even categorize. He is just like stone-faced, fire and brimstone, man. Like, it doesn't matter what question you ask him, he's just going to keep talking. He's like a robot. He's like a speak and spell. Like, you pull the cord and it just keeps going. It doesn't matter what you ask it, what you say to it. It's just gonna keep saying that the cow goes moo.
There's not a chord on the speak and
So-
spell.
Isn't there?
No, the
No,
speak and
you're-
spell is the.
you're thinking
Which
of
one am I
the.
thinking of?
You're thinking of.
I think
like,
I think it was
the
called.
cow says moo.
I think that was
Yeah.
the see and say.
Yeah.
See and
Speak and
say.
spell is the little
Close.
orange.
Yeah,
Whatever.
close. I think it was the see and say.
It's been a long time,
Yeah.
okay? Yeah. And kids today would have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, we should really
don't
try
know.
to get an NAR person.
I thought you were going to say we should
Oh.
really try to get a speak and spell.
Yeah,
Speak and spell or CNC? Yeah, no, definitely.
I think that'd be
I
an
will shoot
interesting
some
talk.
emails.
Yeah. Shoot some emails.
I will shoot some emails.
Shoot emails, not dope.
And yeah, I don't even want to ridicule them. I just want to like ask serious questions about
Like,
the resurrection
why?
of the dead.
You've seen your friends fail so many times at this.
Right,
Why?
right. Why, dude?
You know,
Have you
like-
learned nothing?
Yeah, God, like, you know, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You know
No.
what they say about that, right?
They're
Like,
expecting the same results because it. Okay, we're pointing our fingers at them and saying, "Why do you keep doing this? You're crazy. This is not gonna." Okay, that's fine, but we also need to point our fingers at the people who continue to follow the shit time and time
Yeah.
again. The people who keep giving up all their money. The people who keep, believing the shit over and over again.
Well, I think that they all fall prey to the true Scotsman fallacy, because if you ask anyone, if you say like, hey, Harold Camping made a bunch of predictions like this and they didn't come true either, what makes you think your prediction is going to be correct? And they're going to say, well, Camping wasn't a true Christian. He didn't have the
Yeah.
true knowledge. No true Christian would speak such blasphemous words, and then yet they're doing it too. So that's a classic.
A perfect example of someone who falls into the trap every time and just keeps going is Brother Mike. I am still getting emails about Brother Mike where they are trying to set dates.
Well, I think Brother Mike is dealing with some serious cognitive dissonance right now.
Yeah.
Like he's,
You can say that again.
I don't know how he sleeps at night.
Comfy.
Yeah, comfortable on a bed of money.
on a bed of money. Yeah, right. With many beautiful women.
That's a different religion.
Oh, right. It's that it really is cognitive dissonance. Like, you have so much time and energy invested into it in the first place that if you admit that it's wrong, everything falls apart. So you just have to dig yourself, like, you have to double down. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's no way out of it. And I think it's a shame because it becomes all encompassing. Like, that is their entire life now. Like,
Well,
this failed prophecy that they have to keep rehashing again and again until they're right, which
Well,
is never going to happen.
I think what makes Camping unique is that he pinned it to a date and a time, man. All right, he's not unique, but I guess he's unique in modern history. Like his prediction was, this day, this time. And then it didn't come true, and he was like, no, it did happen. Now it's going to be this date and this time, right? So he did double down, and he was wrong twice. Where I think like this NAR person, they're going to say something vague and ambiguous. They're going to say, well, in our lifetime, or it's going to happen soon, or within, that, and they're going to couch it in those vague terms. One I hear a lot is within our lifetime. Like, whose lifetime? Yours? You could go any day now. And my lifetime, I hope I'll stick around a long time.
And that's exactly it too. Like, I mean, when you read the Bible, Jesus says
In our
you know,
lifetimes.
it's very much couched in the terms that, like, some of you will not see death by the time that you see the Son of Man at the right hand of God. Like, it's it's in our lifetime, and it's been our lifetime for 2,000 years.
Yeah. Wouldn't that make Jesus like the first failed prophet? Because he says he was the first one.
Yeah.
Well, the first in Christianity.
In Christianity, yeah. Yeah.
He would be the first New Testament prophet that said in our lifetime, and then it didn't happen.
And then Paul would be number 2. Because Paul said it too. Paul was saying, because interesting story. When Paul was writing to the church in Thessalonica in 1 Thessalonians, they were upset because they thought they missed the rapture. And he said, no, you didn't miss it, but it's coming soon. And,
How do you miss the rapture?
I don't know. I guess they weren't at the right place at the right time.
Left behind.
They
weren't
forgot
believing
us.
hard enough.
I was taking a shower. I was running late.
Yeah.
How do you...
Have you seen the? I saw it posted a couple times back around the May 21st prediction, but it was like a UPS label, and it said, "Sorry, we missed you," and it was like date for rapture, like canceled because of rain or something like that. Like checked off.
How do you?
Like, we will try again on October 22nd or something like that.
I don't understand how you missed the rapture.
Well, maybe like it happened and you feel like you were left behind, like oh my God, the rapture happened and I'm still here. I missed it.
But you wouldn't miss it though.
Well, all right. So I guess I understand what you're saying. Like you didn't miss it. You just
you just fucked up.
You just didn't get to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry. Paul comes along and says, "No, it's cool, dude. It's cool.
It's cool. It's cool. You didn't miss it. It's coming soon.
Soon, any day now.
Coming soon. Any day now." If you figure 1 Thessalonians was written in 53, which I don't, but that's the general consensus, 53. It's only been about 1,950 years.
That's good.
60 years. The same amount of time from 0 to about the year my mom was born. Yeah. So.
I still want to know details about how the dead are going to come back.
I do too.
These are the things I wonder about.
Yeah.
I mean, and did she say
sad.
that like, "Hey, it's cool. You're going to see your Aunt Sally again. You miss her."
But get a shotgun.
Yeah.
You're going to have to shoot her in the head.
Be prepared.
The dead will rise from the grave.
So do you think they're sitting around?
You must remove the head or destroy the brain.
Do you think they're sitting around like companies who have a marketing department where they sit around and say, "Okay, what is popular that we can attach ourselves to get publicity and get people to cross over to us, to understand our message, to become part of us?" And somebody goes, "Zombies are really popular right now. We could do something with that.
Go with that.
What could we do?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I know," and that's how she becomes.
Yeah.
I don't think they do, but I think if they did,
they would be more successful.
Yeah.
I can see a guy in a
press releases with
sitting around a table, a bunch of guys, and sitting there like, "Cindy, that's good. You should go with that.
Yeah.
Go with the zombie angle. We'll see where that gets us." Polls show zombies are huge now. They're good. They're big with the kids.
I mean, with the AMC's,
Oh.
Maybe that's what we should do with this show.
But you know what? In all seriousness, even if I was a believer, and like a prophet of my faith is like, the dead are going to be resurrected. I'm like, fuck. Like, I don't want that to happen. That would suck. Not just from the the coy zombie point of view, but all of a sudden now it's like, where are we going to put all these people? They're going to want to have some place to stay. They're not staying in my house.
Shit. There's.
Or like, what if it's like somebody's
almost
ex-wife? Like, shit.
I killed you. I mean, you died, Eric.
Until death do you part.
That's, I mean, fine, even if it is your ex-wife, but you know, maybe it's like you divorced her and then she died, and you were glad to be rid of her, and
Yeah, and then she was back.
now she's back. I couldn't think of a worse scenario than the dead.
How would you
rising
explain
from
that
the-
to your current wife?
And funny enough, there's a funny, it's not exactly played for laughs, but it does come out as very funny. There's a French film called They Came Back, and it's just that scenario. It's like they're not zombies; they're just the dead have returned, and there's all these people, and they want jobs and they want places to stay, and they're just back.
Yeah.
They're not undead. They're just resurrected. They're back, you know, in body and soul, walking around on the planet Earth. And now we have to come up with that. And now there's all these logistical problems. Like they have to eat. They have to have some place to stay. They need jobs. They need clothes. You know, and it just shows how in the communities it's like such a huge tax on their resources, and it's a problem.
Well,
yeah,
if
the
every
global
dead
population now is
person,
almost 7 billion. I mean, do you know how many people have died since, like,
the beginning of humans.
yeah, way more than that.
Yeah, and which dead get resurrected? Is it
All of them.
See, that would be a problem. Well, no, not really, because then we could settle these issues. Like Lee Harvey Oswald, did you act alone?
Yeah, but then what do you do after that? I mean,
You're getting the death penalty. I'll see you in a week.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not an option because apparently it doesn't work. You know, it's not permanent.
I'm trying to
And
think of
can
the
they die of
upside.
starvation? Can they die again?
That is the upside. What are you talking about? That's awesome.
Like
That's
you could,
weird.
Because you
Yeah.
can finally talk to Elvis and he'll go, "No, I was never dead."
well, then he wouldn't be back, right? 'Cause he'd still be missing if he was really alive.
Ooh, that's like a wormhole. What the hell?
I always loved. Speaking of Elvis, I always loved those tabloid magazines that would say like Elvis still alive. You know, it's like, or the best are when they show it's like Hitler still alive. It's like Hitler would be like 220 something years old, like, or 120 years old. He is not still alive, man. He was born in 1889. He is dead.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't kill himself in a
No,
bunker in
he's
Germany,
kept
he is
alive by
long
Nazi secret science.
dead. Nazi secret science. That's right.
Super science. Secret
Oh, yes.
super science.
Secret super science. They
That's
gave
my
him the
favorite
VT
kind.
There's no other.
Super science. It's like science, but better.
Yeah.
But where's an S?
Yes.
Not for science, but for super.
Got superpowers.
Man,
Better.
you know, this new
It's like
apostolic
science.
reformation.
It's like science with powers that defy the laws of science.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's super. That's what makes it super.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's
It
Christianity.
doesn't even need to answer to itself. You know.
I mean, if it didn't cost, if I had like an extra $6,000 to spend, I would have a doctorate in prophecy from that
God.
stupid NAR school. That would be
You know.
awesome.
You know what I did discover though.
That you are a prophet?
Yes.
You could be a
No.
prophet.
Brian Dunning runs a fake school online where you can get degrees in anything, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Just before we started this up, it's called Thunderwood College.
Yeah.
And I gave myself a Bachelor of Arts in Divinity, a Master of Arts in Divinity, and a Doctorate of Arts in Divinity.
On the nobody's mentioned it, but on one of the atheist meetup groups, you know, have your like your bio page. Everybody has their education down, and I was just kind of being silly, and I wrote my my educational experience. I said I had a master's degree in it was educational history, and it was like the Miskatonic University class of 03 School of Necrobiology. Go Pods.
Go
And nobody
Pods.
said anything about it. I'm like maybe I don't know. Maybe people read it and they're like, "Wow, man, that sounds like a good school." Or I don't know. Like,
They probably just laugh and go, "Long live HP."
yeah, or they're like, "What an asshole."
Yeah. Or they're, he's just an
It's
idiot.
awesome.
I just
I
like
want
saying
a
"Go
Miskatonic
Pods."
sweatshirt. That would be the ideal Christmas gift. A Miskatonic sweatshirt.
Yeah, for those of you out there listening.
Non-religious.
So I think we've beat this one to the ground. We can move on to the next one, which is I think really pertinent to the show. and it was in the Washington Post. It's called dun 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 dun, that evil liberal newspaper.
What is
And by
it?
newspaper I mean
Reality has an unsavory liberal bias.
The lamestream media reporting all its.
What is this, Fox
Fact.
News? What the?
Yeah.
So atheists launched campaign to get unbelievers to come out, and that was actually when Bob and Jason and I were talking about the show. That's what we wanted. We wanted to target people who were, not necessarily out and atheists and start preaching to the choir, but we wanted to
Is that what?
talk to people who were maybe still in the pews but questioning, and start a dialogue there. So I think it's interesting. It talks about this, essentially a YouTube video where this college student is talking about whether or not it's acceptable to the majority population to be an atheist. And he says no, and the whole thing spirals into what's called the We Are Atheism campaign, with people posting videos coming out. And
Is that like the I'm a Mormon campaign? Have you seen those?
Yeah.
They're trying to put
yes.
a prettier face on Mormonism. But those are like really slickly produced, high profile, high production value videos. Because apparently Mormons have a lot of money.
They've been stockpiling for years.
Yeah. I mean, look at the size of their temple. It's awesome. It's Vatican proportion. If you've never been to Salt Lake City, it's worth a trip to see it. Because it's kind of cool looking, but
can't
it's
go
weird. Mormonism is weird, man. Yeah, I don't have to tell you guys, because I'm sure you know. Bob knows for sure. He went and saw that movie. But
Yeah.
So she's
weird.
asking for people who go to church, who are closeted atheists, or not necessarily
Yeah.
just go to church, but people who find themselves, for lack of a better phrase, believing in atheism, to come out and be more predominant within the community.
Yeah.
I think it's a good campaign in that, like, I don't know, man. Maybe you'd want people to step forward. Remember, we said that it's not the believing, it's the belonging that have
Yeah.
the benefits of church. And but I certainly don't want somebody to like lose their job over their belief, which I think would be reprehensible. It shouldn't be allowed to happen, and yet it does.
I mean, because every job interview that I've done since we've started this show asked me about the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you go to job interviews, you're like, "Hey, check out my shows."
No, it's on my resume. It's
really?
And I send everything from Zombie Popcorn email. I mean, I'm not going to hide it.
Right.
This is what I do. This is, I do podcasts. I do netcasts.
And so, have you had any negative reactions? I'm curious.
I just tell people, they're like, they don't actually ask about non-religious life. They always go, so I went to your website. What is that all about? And I said, well, I do a series of netcasts. One dealing just with generic entertainment, movies, music, and whatever else, pop culture, dealing with horror movies. Another one I do, I was like, I'm always, a big believer that the things that we're not supposed to talk about in society, such as politics and religion, I feel that we should always talk about those things. So I have 2 podcasts that deal with nothing but politics and religion. Because if we don't talk about it, we're never going to grow.
Yeah.
That's what I tell them.
Huh.
I mean, in so many words, I don't say
Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah. No, I think that's key. I definitely have this show listed in my employers on Facebook. I did.
How much are you paying him?
It's a volunteer. It's internship.
Internship. Internship with the title of host/content director.
There it is.
Yeah. It's a prestigious position.
It looks better than intern.
Yeah.
One day.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've noticed that the Freedom from Religion Foundation, they have a big push to get people to come out as atheists, and they have a whole big billboard campaign, and they do the Good Without God campaign, and now that it's getting to be the Christmas season, they're getting more of a push. They're having let reason prevail during the Christmas season, and what are some of the other? I believe in. They have some catchy slogans like the one lady always says she believes in deeds, not creeds, and another thing they say is like atheists work to make this world heavenly, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Yeah. And I think it's awesome. I think there should be out atheist campaigns. Yeah,
that's actually, I believe, called the Out campaign. That's what that is.
They also do a campaign, and I forget what the name of it is called, but they assist clergy turned atheist, because apparently that's an issue. Like, you've been a Catholic priest for 35 years and you find out you've lost your faith and you become an atheist. Not a lot of job skills in your past that you can parlay into a career.
They can.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a problem, and they're
happens.
trying to help fix.
I mean, look at Dr. Price. It always seems to come back to him, but I mean, he was an evangelical, I believe, Baptist minister.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily he has 2 PhDs.
Yeah, he's very well learned.
Well, he's an educated guy, and he's out doing his thing, writing books and speaking engagements, and I mean, none of us have as much money as we'd like to have, but
oh, I do.
yeah, I've got plenty. You guys, not really? Not you? Okay.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
We're at the 30.
So
30.
I've been with the I do believe we should have this push that we should maybe try and let people know that atheists don't have horns and eat babies and do horrible things. But then at the same time, I've been wrestling with this issue of
that we should have horns and eat babies.
No. Yeah. So there's a church across the street from this park where I go all the time. There's a public park right by my house, and it's really nice, and it gets used for public events, and it is a public park, and there is a Methodist church right across the street from it, and every year at Christmas time, they go out and they set up a live nativity scene on the public church, and on the public park, and not only is it a live nativity scene, but they have live animals too, like live sheep and donkeys, and that drives my girlfriend up a fucking wall, man.
Yeah,
she has
drives me up a wall. When I was living in Norfolk, I would see it all the time, and it would drive me up a wall.
What agitates me about it too is that yeah, right. But what I think is kind of funny about it is that right next to the church, they own this big vacant lot that's right next to the church. It's like 1 block off of where they want to set this live nativity scene up. And if they put the live nativity scene up on their private property, I don't have any problem with that. What I do have a problem with is the live nativity scene going up on a public park. Yeah. And
why don't they use their own land? They don't want.
I don't know.
They don't want poop on their own grass.
I think that's why. I really think that that's their issue. They're like, we're going to do it on the park because
the city will clean it up.
Yeah, and so, on the one hand, I want to be like this kinder, gentler atheist, and then on the other hand, I'm like, oh my God, do I be a dick and like blow the whistle on this church? Because I don't know if I could get any action on it, but maybe I could.
Mm-hmm. It only takes
but I'm sure I'd piss a lot of people off along the way.
Make sure we have bumper stickers.
The only thing
first.
that makes it like it's rough. I looked into that actually because when I was living in Norfolk, there's a school, and it's right across from, it's right in Ghent. It's right there. You probably know which one I'm talking about, right on Colley. And every Sunday, they have some church thing in the school. And I actually looked it up, and it's not technically illegal until they tell another group that they can't use the space.
Yeah, because you can have after school events that are religious founded. You just can't have teachers or administrators promote it or
yes. and it's only illegal once they tell a different group no.
So, like, if, say, for example, a gay lesbian group wants to start, and they're like, "Hell no,"
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
We'd like to use your school for our Satan's church meeting.
no.
We're just gonna, sacrifice goats and
Yeah.
eat babies and
I know
have
where we can get some sheeps
orgies.
from.
Yeah.
I always thought there's that Christian group Young Life. I think like if you had some satanic cult, they'd be like Old Life, where they worship the old gods and
Cthulhu.
pray to
That'd
the
be
Elder
awesome.
Scrolls. I don't know, that's just fine.
Yeah. But we are 5 minutes past the 30.
Well, I'll look
Okay.
into it and see where that goes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to do something really quick. I think it's worth plugging a book. We haven't plugged a book in here in a while. And just super quick, I just want to say, if you go to Dr. Price's website, he has a critical reading list, and I've just recently started working my way down it. And if anyone's actually interested in learning about the critical understanding of religion, the first book on the list, one that I've started reading, maybe a quarter of the way through currently, is it's called Prolegomena to the History of Ancient Israel by Julius Wellhausen. And Wellhausen is his theory on the structure of the Old Testament is hands down dominates critical scholarship. I mean, it's been compared to Origin of Species in the way that it reshaped its field of thought. And so I would suggest finding it and reading it. You can actually, I have a hard copy that I got on Amazon for I think I paid $4 for it. But you can actually just Google it, and there are all sorts of ebook versions. It's in the public domain. So I would check it out for any of the listeners who want to delve into something that's will give them a better understanding of religion. So, and with that, let's move into Bob's video.
Hey everybody, this is Bob from Zombie Popcorn's This Non-Religious Life, and coming at you again from the Zombie Popcorn headquarters with this week's installment of our weekly thought experiment, exercise in critical thinking. And this week's a good one. Pascal's Wager. It was first put out there by the French philosopher and mathematician Blaise Pascal. And so this has a couple of steps, but bear with me. Step one, we're wagering whether God exists or not. And so step two is that we're going to play the game and there will be an outcome. Step three, we can't by reason alone defend any of the positions whether God does or doesn't exist. And the fourth step is that you must wager. You have to put your chips down somewhere. And step five, this is where it gets tricky. Step five, you have to weigh the outcomes of the wager. If God exists and you bet on him, well, then you won everything. If God doesn't exist and you bet on him, you lost nothing. And so that's kind of the crux of the wager itself. And so what should a rational person do in this case? And so we'll talk about that ad nauseum on the next Non-Religious Life. So stay with us.
Okay, so yeah, I think that was a great.
I love Pascal's Wager.
I do love Pascal's Wager.
Have you ever had a believer throw that at you? So
Yeah.
to summarize, the thought in Pascal's Wager is that you should believe in God because if you're wrong, no harm done. And the belief is that you've lived a virtuous life and done good believing in God. And if you die and there is no afterlife, well then no big deal. We just lost Ken.
Hey.
And then but if you believe in God and you die and there is an afterlife, well then you win the big prize. And it's one of those things, I think people throw it out there as well, I believe and have faith because what's the harm in it? And I only have everything to gain. And I don't know, the whole thing breaks down under scrutiny because, one, you have to assume that the God you believe in, first of all, you have to assume that the God you believe in is the right one. If you add all of the other deities in the world, in world religions to the equation, then it's like you have a very small probability of actually believing in the right God. So the wager doesn't exactly hold up.
Yeah. I've had believers throw this at me a few times, and it's incredibly weak because it is a sort of false, it's a false premise that your only two choices are not believing and believing in the Christian God, you know?
Well, I mean, it isn't, I wouldn't say it's a false premise. I mean, it's just, maybe it's a false dichotomy. Because, and I was just saying, like, if you consider all of the other deities throughout world history into the bet, then you would actually, even if you did believe in a God, and even if there was a God, there's a very small probability that you'd actually believe in the right God.
It's actually even bigger than that. It's not just all the gods that have existed. You have to factor in every single deity that could exist.
Right. Yeah. Right. So then it becomes infinitesimally small.
You know.
Yeah. Suppose there's some unknown God that we just have yet to spiritually discover. We just don't know he's out there yet.
You have to.
He hasn't revealed himself.
There was always a time before those gods. You know, there was a time before Yahweh. There was a time before Zeus. There was a time before, you know, Baal Shaman or Thor or Odin or, you know, Osiris.
Yeah.
So you have to predict for every single god. You know, any other absurd possibility. What if the world is actually just a simulation like the Matrix, and the only way out is to not believe in God?
Yeah. And another argument about Pascal's wager where it doesn't seem to hold up is that, and I forget, maybe it was Epicurus who said this about that if there really is a God and he really wants you to believe in him, and he really and like if he is this virtuous God that wants good and virtuous people to go to heaven, then what is the merit of believing in something only because you perceive a reward to be had in it? Like, I believe in God because I'm pretty sure I'm going to go to heaven.
I believe in the lottery because I'm pretty sure I'm going to win $1 million.
Yeah. But there's no deity with the lottery. There's nobody judging the value of your belief in the lottery. If there is a God and he wants you to believe in him, should you believe in him out of fear of repercussions, or because you expect some reward, not because of it? What it does is it takes the teeth out of the religion's hold on good works.
Yeah, because you're not doing it out of pure kindness and caring. You're doing it because I need to do this, or I'm going to get 6 lashings, or whatever.
Right. And but you know what though? There are some preachers there's some evangelicals who say that God is a jealous God and he is a vengeful God, and you better believe in him.
We hear that more times than not.
I know that seems to be the growing consensus is that I remember going to Sunday school and being taught that God is all loving, all knowing, all powerful, and most importantly, all loving, right? He was like, oh, God loves you anyway. But now it's more fire and brimstone out there than I remember.
Well, I think it was a mixture of both, because I think, in the churches that I went to, the kids would go to the morning class, and then everybody would funnel into the big church, and then that's when you would get the fire and brimstone stuff. But in the church, you had the felt Jesus that you stuck on the felt board. And
the felt Jesus.
And that's when you learned about how Jesus was love and all that. So it's crazy. So
yeah, but I mean that when Blaise Pascal made the wager, I think that he wasn't necessarily endorsing a belief in God. I just think he was sort of trying to rationalize whether we can know the existence of a God. So when Blaise Pascal, a lot of people have written about this, and I tend to think that when he formulated the wager, I don't think that he was espousing a belief in God. I think he was just wondering if we could know that a God exists. Like, you know what I mean? And it's been, I think his argument has been sort of co-opted by religion as an argument for belief. When really I think what he was doing was just sort of wondering aloud if we can even know these things.
So you're saying by framing the question, by showing that it doesn't matter which one you pick, or picking the God makes you win both ways. So actually picking either one, it doesn't matter.
And that's what he says. He says, like, it's going to wind up one way or the other, but you can't ever really know for sure. And like I said, I don't think that he may have been a deist, but he was also a mathematician and a physicist. So he was
an incredibly devout Catholic. He had a second conversion in the 1650s, and actually he abandoned his scientific work after that fact.
Yeah, well, then he swayed himself with his own argument.
Yeah, he actually abandoned mathematics and became devoted strictly to philosophical and theological arguments.
Well,
so if this is used in the real world, you said that believers use this argument a lot.
Yeah.
What's the purpose? I mean, what's the point? Why? Okay, so if you make a choice, at the end of the day, what does it matter?
Well, what the believer will say. Excuse me. What the believer will say to the atheist is, and they won't say it's Pascal's wager, but they'll frame it that way, and you'll hear Pascal's wager in there, and they'll say, well, how can you be sure? How can you, what would you do if you were wrong? What if there was a God? And
see,
and that essentially is Pascal's wager, because what they're saying is that you should believe because you might be wrong in your thinking that there is no God. You should believe in a God because if you don't and you're wrong, you're screwed. And I sort of reject that notion.
Well,
on the basis of what we were saying, like multiple deities and multiple gods, and if there is a virtuous God who wants you to do good works, then why bother? Because if only belief is enough to get you into heaven. Well,
I don't follow it more on of my world view of things. I believe you're free. You do whatever you want as long as you're ready to accept the consequences of your choices, no matter good or bad. And if I don't want to believe in a God and there is a God and I get punished for it, then therefore, I know that's an imaginary extreme, but that's what I do, because I'm a manager where I work, and I have the relationship with some of the employees where they're like, yeah, I'm going to take an hour lunch day. They're supposed to only get 30 minutes. And I was like, I don't care what you do. Just know that there may be consequences that wouldn't come from me for you taking that long of a break. One being your check's going to be less because you took a longer. Two, if the owner comes in, you can do whatever you wish, because I think people have deep inside they know they do what is right and what is expected. But if they want to take extra time or whatever, they can do it. I don't care, as long as they understand there may be other consequences, and people accept that.
I agree with that stance 110%. But the difference is that, for some reason that I don't quite understand, the Christian, and more specifically the evangelical Christian, is very, 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 very concerned with your soul, your immortal soul. It's his business what happens to your immortal soul, if there is such a thing.
So putting that in real world terms, with the scenario I just said, like, you can do whatever you want as long as you're ready to accept whatever consequences. To add that to, so you can do whatever you want as long as you're ready to accept the consequences, and you give me a part of your finger, or what? I don't understand how that translates.
Well, that's the when the believer asks you that question, and it's framed in Pascal's wager, it's like, oh my God, you should believe because you know the punishment if you're wrong. Do you understand? They're very concerned with what happens to your immortal soul that they believe you have.
Crazy.
Yeah, it comes out of the idea of soul winning, and at the end of
Soul Calibur.
yes, they comes out of the Great Commission when Jesus tells the apostles to go out and preach to the world and bring his message to every nation. Christians feel like that's their obligation, is to win souls, and it's kind of wonky and it's kind of weird, but
It's a fetish, it seems like.
it is almost fetishistic. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong in that
all-encompassing
assessment.
Obsession.
But I do feel like the believer, the Christian believer, and the especially the evangelical Christian is really concerned about somebody else's soul.
Yeah.
They're not, and this is the part where have you ever seen Christopher Hitchens' documentary about Mother Teresa?
Oh yeah.
What is it called? Oh man, he's got a really cutting, biting title for it. He calls her the Whore of Calcutta or something like that. I don't know, something really biting, and he maintains that Mother Teresa, like all this work that she did in India, she is not concerned with these people's well-being. She is concerned with what she believes to be their immortal soul. So it's okay for them to starve and die in sickness and poverty, as long as they accept God into their hearts, so that she can count them as a check in the box for Christianity or Catholicism in general.
I'm trying to find what he calls her.
He did a documentary or news story about her, and Satan's something.
He's done a lot on her.
But yeah, he maintains.
When she was up for beatification in the Roman Catholic Church, he actually got to be devil's advocate.
Yeah. Like he maintains that in like her hospitals in Calcutta, those people are not receiving adequate medical care. They're just there to die, but they're there to die in the arms of the Lord, so that way they can be counted as Christian wins.
Yeah, speaking of that, Ken, pull up that article I sent in the docs about it was a UK newspaper that there were some patients who were terminally ill, and the church said that they were cured, so they stopped doing their treatments and they died. And that just happened recently.
Well, that happens. That happens
Well,
all
I'm
the
sure
time.
it happens all the time, but
I mean, that's there's a whole Christian Science movement in the U.S. where they don't believe in medicine or.
But they were doing it. If I remember the article correctly, they were. But the church said that they were cured.
Well, which church? The Catholic Church?
I want him to pull it up because I don't have it in front of me.
Is it in the docs?
Yeah, it's in. It should be like the fourth to the last or something.
And that's the other thing. Like, why? It just seems like the Christian religion is really concerned with this intangible quality about you. Not really concerned with your well-being, but really concerned about where your soul is going to go when you die. And that's why they're so concerned about your lifestyle and what you do in the bedroom.
So to break it down, it's not that they genuinely care about you individually. Doesn't care about your life. They generally care about how many notches they can put on.
That's what it seems like to me.
This is in the UK, and it was 6 people have died in Britain after being told that they have been healed of HIV and could stop taking their medication.
That's what it was, yeah.
And it was the Synagogue Church of All Nations.
Synagogue, church.
I don't know that, but yeah, that's what. So it's fascinating that we as a culture allow this stuff to happen.
Well, I mean, like I said, and I don't think that religion is really that concerned with your well-being in this life. They're concerned about what happens to you in the next, because that's where the big reward is. And I don't know. I get, to be honest with you, not that I wouldn't be honest, but
no,
to be, that's kind of another one of those things that's what sort of pushed me into non-belief and pushed me into atheism. Like, you know, you have this life now. I never understood the fixation with some next life for which there is no evidence, there is no proof. The only evidence you have is that circular logic of biblical scripture. You know, it's true because it was written by God and God wrote it in the Bible, so therefore it's true. That goes
and the
round
Bible
and round.
says it was written, it's God's word, so therefore it's God's word.
Yeah, right. That circular logic never held up. I don't know. And so I think it would be pertinent to say today, November 30th is Mark Twain's birthday. And Mark Twain famously said, "Faith is believing what you know ain't so." I feel very profound for having said that. I like Mark Twain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I never understood the fixation of Christianity with your, you know, like, you know, like, because you and I adopt sort of a live and let live policy. Like, you know, I don't care. I may not agree with what you're doing, but whatever, it's your life. You can do it.
As long as you accept the responsibility.
Agreed.
Of what,
Right. There's a
what comes
responsibility
along.
for your actions.
Yeah. The afterlife in general is a really interesting creation of Christianity too, because as most people probably know, Christianity came out of Judaism, but first century Judaism didn't really have a stance on the afterlife. A lot of Jews were actually just annihilationists. They believe you're dead. That's it. You're dead.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Judaism invented the afterlife, because there were certainly other religions.
No, but I mean, in Christianity, you see a rise of a belief in an afterlife, despite the fact that Christianity arose out of Judaism that didn't have one.
I understand, right?
Is it because this became to be because people are really not happy with their, even back then, with their current living situation, that they have to pretend that there's something better out there?
Why would you be happy about it? That seemed to be a really shitty time to live then, man.
No, I mean, you know, we can look back. We can look back at, you know, books and say, shit, that sucks, comparing it to now. But if, again, it goes back to that, if that's all you know, it's not that bad.
I understand what you mean. Yeah. I think that suffering is suffering. It doesn't need a frame of reference. You know, you look around and you're like, oh my God, life sucks, and your perception is going to be that life sucks, regardless of what happened before or what will happen in the future. I mean, it's just, you know, it's an immediate perception. And so, yeah, sure. I think that's why this afterlife idea is so appealing, because, you know, like, hey, it sucks now, but look, if you do all this stuff, you're gonna get this big reward. Like Ricky Gervais calls it, the mansion in the sky.
Yeah.
Be good, you'll get the mansion in the sky. Be good, Santa Claus is gonna bring you presents.
Ooh, Santa Claus is coming, and the Transformer Prime is on pre-sale. Yes.
You might be fixated.
I want to delve into a little biblical scholarship here. The idea of hell is definitely a very, very late, and this is where it all is, like, you know, the infinite punishment, you know, infinite punishment. But the idea of hell as an infinite punishment doesn't actually arise in Christianity scripturally until at least the end of the 2nd century, like about 150 years after the crucifixion, because there's only one single instance of a word that can be related to our actual concept of hell in the entire Bible, and that's it's Tartarus, and it's in 2 Peter 2:4. Every other time you read the word hell, it's talking about a physical place, Gehenna, which is a valley outside of Jerusalem, or Sheol in the Old Testament, which just means the grave, just a covered place. And at most, it's a shadowy existence of a giant walled city stolen out of Babylonian mythology. Or it's Hades, which is the Greek equivalent, very much the same thing as Sheol.
Well, wasn't there an idea of like an afterlife punishment in the Egyptian theology?
In Egyptian theology, but
I mean, they had Anubis.
Christianity doesn't draw on that, though. They draw on Tartarus. There are 4 words in the Bible that are translated to become hell. It's Sheol, which is only found in the Old Testament, and Sheol was, like I said, either the grave, because it just means the covered place. So it literally means the grave. Or when you read the Epic of Gilgamesh, what is his name? Gilgamesh's companion. I can't remember his name. It begins with an A. Fuck. He comes back from the dead and describes it to Gilgamesh as a great walled city that once you go in, you can't get out of it. It's just a shadowy place. You live as a shade, essentially. And Sheol was that. When you get into the New Testament, there's 3 words that are translated to hell. The first is Gehenna, which is the Valley of the Sons of Hinnom. It's a valley outside of Jerusalem. It's a physical place. It's a garbage dump. It's a place where there's a lot of, still a lot of like Baal worship and stuff like that. And it's sort of like a veiled threat, like when in Matthew, when Jesus says, it's better to, cut off your limb, enter the kingdom of heaven maimed, than it is to be thrown into the fires of hell. What it actually is it's Gehenna when you look at the Greek. It means, it's better to, cut off your friends who might be worshiping these false gods down in Hinnom than it is to be, to end up losing out on my religion and go there and, they're going to sacrifice you. They're going to toss your body into one of those burning pits. Because there was a lot of talk of like child sacrifice and stuff still, even in the 1st century.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
these evil people, they sacrifice human beings.
So did Christianity.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap it up, guys.
So yeah, and then,
Gilgamesh's companion was Enkidu.
Enkidu, yes.
I didn't know it. I looked it up.
Thank you. And then the other word is one of the other words is Hades, which is the same thing as Sheol. And the final thing is Tartarus, which only appears once in 2 Peter, which wasn't written until the end of the 2nd century. But Tartarus is the place where, the Titans were, put in Greek mythology to keep them, essentially to punish them.
Well, all of these gods, who do I bet on? I don't know.
Exactly. And just to make it, and just to poke more holes in, Blaise Pascal's whole thing is the idea of infinite punishment isn't even original to Christianity. It doesn't appear until, late in the 2nd century. Yeah,
well, that's why I don't know. I think it's a poor argument. I was really disappointed to learn that I was reading some of his work in that it was like the argument was put out in the Pensées or something like that.
Pensées, yeah.
And
Thoughts.
and I really thought that he was just sort of like wondering aloud, wondering on paper whether, can we know these things? And I don't know, maybe his own wanderings like steered him into a Christian view.
He became very devoutly Catholic, and it was like 1654 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he sort of abandoned
Sad.
Science, but he only died like maybe 10 years later. So the end of his life. People do weird things, right?
Yeah. Well, all right, man. Wrap us up.
All right. Well, we went over a little bit, but that's okay because I like to talk, and so does everyone else. And if you like to talk, you can get in contact with us and let us know what you think. We're always looking for things to cover with Bob's thought experiments to talk about in the latter half of the show. We're always looking for stuff to talk about. If you are a part of the New Apostolic Reformation and you want to come on the show, just saying, you can call us. We have a telephone hotline if you want to talk to us. 757-337-2195. We'll Skype you into the show. We'll call you. We'll do something. You can come on, talk to us. You can email us, nonreligious@zombie-popcorn.com. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/this non-religious life. I'm getting tongue-tied now. There's so many things. Stitcher Radio. Go download the app. You can go to zombiepopcorn.com, click the link, download the app, and then you can listen to our show. It streams. No syncing, no downloading. And it's not just us. You can get, I think the New York Times is on there, or some crazy stuff, Fox News and NBC and all, like a whole bunch of huge things. It's not just little guys like us. A lot of great content. iTunes, all of the Zombie Popcorn netcasts are up on iTunes, downloadable, and you can just take us on the go and listen to us if you're that much of a masochist,
Our cyber footprint is growing.
I know. The cyber footprint is growing. It's crazy. Just leave us some feedback. Let us know. Leave comments, thoughts, outbursts, whatever. With that, I think that's everything. So, Jason, Bob, you have any closing comments?
No.
No.
Did you catch the my Mark Twain quote? I know you beeped out there for a minute. Mark Twain's birthday is November 30th.
Is it November 30th?
That was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. And Mark Twain famously said, "Faith is believing what you know ain't so."
Awesome. Well, he was great too. So huge skeptic. Big thumbs up to him. And vegetarian. Double thumbs up from me. So if that's it, we'll see you next week.
Next time.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Jesus got out here.
I thought I was a good Christian.
Jesus died on a cross. I go to church every Sunday. Jesus got out here. Then I read this. It says Jesus died on a cross for a rotten hooker.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday.
I thought I was a good Christian.
I go to church every Sunday. I am a very religious person.
I thought I was a good Christian.
The very lies the serpent told to Eve in the Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. Garden of Eden. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Spread confusion and promote lies. The gospel of